When white people see my posts about racism in America, frequently they say, "I didn't know." When black people see these comments, they say, "We already know. There is no way you didn't know. Don't pretend you didn't." This disconnect is really hard to explain, and I've been trying to understand it myself. I'm going to be digging into this really deep because I think it's so important. It's not that we're just oblivious white people. It's that we've been groomed to be oblivious white people. People point out that it's not like this stuff is locked in some vault somewhere. It's available. You can see it. And that's true. But we were trained not to ask questions. We were trained not to look for it. And I see it in my family. I see it in my circle of friends, even some of my friends that are pretty progressive. We have this ingrained training to not ask too many questions. We were taught to trust authority figures, teachers, ministers, police officers, politicians, the anchor guy on the evening news. We believed them because we were groomed from childhood to believe that they were trustworthy. We were not taught that the system itself, the system they were part of, was designed to protect itself first. And frankly, it felt good just to trust them. It's like you had this permanent mommy and daddy figure. It made life feel safe. The gaps in white knowledge were filled in with lies. We were told that poor people were lazy, that's why they're poor. That crime existed in black neighborhoods because they were black neighborhoods. That broken families cause poverty. These ideas were not questioned. They were treated as common sense. And we were started with our grooming as infants, as little tiny babies, as little bitty kids that are impressionable and just forming our ideas about the world. So that was our social foundation. We were told that black people can't keep their marriages together. I was even told that the reason they couldn't keep their marriages together was because of how they were treated during slavery. So out of one side of their mouth, they'd say, "Wasn't that horrible that families were split up during slavery?" But now that has just become part of who they are. And so it's their fault. I don't know, it didn't make sense to me either. We also were not told that welfare benefits were not available if there was a man in the house, a black woman working 2 jobs who still needed support to raise her children, could not have a husband or partner living in the house with her. And of course we were taught that that was their fault because they couldn't keep their marriages together. As we were growing up and we started to repeat these beliefs, we were seen as respectful and well-adjusted. I don't know, are you getting pissed off? I'm getting pissed off just going through this again. We were guided by the TV news and movies and TV shows to care when white people suffered and to disconnect from the pain of other people. We were taught to feel patriotic about our country without questioning whether they were being truthful with us about why we should feel such patriotism. When we asked those white authority figures that we were taught to trust, we were lied to. Now, when black people give us honest answers, we don't fully trust them. It's not about ignorance, it's about conditioning. My education is in behavior analysis, and that's how that works. You just expose someone to a social system that supports a certain line of thinking, and you fall for it, especially if you are started out as a young kid being taught all that stuff. And that's what happens to all of us. We were taught that silence is polite and that truth about society is rude or inappropriate. And as a girl that went to a fundamentalist Christian church, that was even more so. You don't ask questions that are going to make people uncomfortable. But that comfort, you see, it kept us obedient. It kept us from asking too many questions. It kept us from wanting to do anything about it. because we didn't fully understand that there was something that needed to be done. We were used to preserve a system that depended on our own silence. It kept us from befriending Black people. It kept us from knowing what the hell we thought we knew about those people. So when white people say, I didn't know about any of this, understand what that really means. We were trained not to look. We were trained to believe the stories that we were told by the authority figures. We were shaped by a system that used your trust against you. We were trained to look away. And now we have a choice. White people, we need to get angry about being kept in the dark all these years, so that together with our Black neighbors and neighbors of all races, we can break down this oppressive system that has brought us here to the point of fascism. Check the caption for some documentaries to help you get started learning. We need to really get curious.
Growing up as a person who attended a predominantly white church complicated my relationship with people of color. My religious heritage is one that told me that Black people were equal in Christ, but everything else about how we actually lived our lives said otherwise. Consider that in my white church, I was told the following at different times in my life. I should not ever consider dating anyone outside of my race because A, the Bible forbids it, or B, even though the Bible doesn't forbid it, it is difficult to explain and navigate culturally. I heard Black people described in terms of their conformity to white culture as they're really not Black, while others that refused to conform were described as divisive and uncooperative. When we would bring children to the church from the Black community, there were many voices that protested. They're disrespectful. They don't know how to act in God's house. They're taking away from our own kids. On occasion, I even heard that rap music has no place in the church. I even once had my cheesy Christian rap albums taken away by church leaders. What's disturbing is that I was often complicit in perpetuating these philosophies. For far too long, I supported church leaders that would often use the N-word and embrace these kinds of beliefs. The Black community was condemned as culturally inferior to the white community and often identified as the reason for the crime and poverty in our Arkansas Delta town. I recall one conversation that I had with a Black couple that was attending our church. The context was the Los Angeles riots after the acquittal of the police officers who beat Rodney King. I was talking about why are these Black folks burning down and looting their own community. My friends who were from LA patiently endured my racist diatribe until my dear sister in Christ went off on me. You have no idea the rage and the anger of Black people, she said. And she was right. I was put in my place quickly. And to my dear sister, I am sorry I caused you this pain. I was wrong. I was wrong for a long time. You were right. You were justified in your anger in response to my white arrogance and ignorance. I'm reminded of the words of Dr. King. First, I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion the stride toward freedom is not white citizens' council or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice.
Why I Stopped Being a Racist, Part 3, White Guilt and Forgiveness. One of the most challenging things on this journey of trying to deconstruct my own racism is learning to forgive myself. That is a very difficult thing to do for most anybody, especially when it's a burden that you carry around so heavy that you don't know how to break it down. Again, these are my thoughts, my experiences, and my opinions only. And while I can't tell you how to learn to forgive yourself for something because it's different for everybody, it's absolutely crucial if you want to grow. I had to admit it to myself. I had to be accountable to myself. And then I had to put in the work. And that involves a lot of introspection, a lot of prayer. It's just something you can't take your foot off the gas of. You know what I mean? Forgiving myself doesn't absolve me of the things I've got to work out. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But until you forgive yourself, it's really hard to move forward. And the biggest thing I struggle with initially is what we call white guilt. And that looks different to probably everybody. Because I was really concerned. I spent a lot of time thinking about it and praying about it. Because if I did this out of some sort of guilt, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be sincere. And I realized and came to the conclusion, once I had forgiven myself, that I had thrown that yoke off me. Now I'm just free to love. I'm just free to grow and be open-minded and experience all these new things with an open and transparent heart. Racism is not a switch you can flip on and off. It doesn't work that way. It's a long process. It takes a lot of commitment. And in part 4, I'll talk about what does racism look like to a racist.
Are happening today in the land of America, and now we are experiencing many white Americans coming out. They break down in tears. They can't hold their emotions, and all that they are doing is that they are asking for forgiveness from the black community, because most of them, they demand that they were lied. They were never told the truth about everything. The system lied to them. And that's why a lot of things that they have been doing, some of them claim that they have been doing not knowing the truth because they were born and find some truth existing. And the truth that they believed in, the truth that they were told, the truth that was there when they were born, that's what they have been feeling, they have been following. So they believe that they don't have any mistake. They never committed any crime because all that they have been doing is what they find it existing. So it was very hard for them to come and turn the truth, or to come and go against everything that has been existing. So that's why today they are very uncomfortable. They are so worried about everything that is happening to their country, while the black community are silenced, watching over everything that is happening without nothing to say. They have kept silence. They are not there. It's like they don't exist while they are in this country too. So this means that those people, the whites have been used to see the black people all time coming on the streets to demand their rights, their freedoms. If you can remember the assassination of Floyd in America at day night, and nothing happened. It became just like a wave, and people speak about it. No justice was found. If you can remember, a lot of things have happened in Africa where many African leaders were assassinated. If you can remember the death of Martin Luther Jr., the Malcolm X, Patrice Lumumba, those leaders, they were not only taken down just a person, but you have to understand that those people were carrying ideas of millions of Africans. They were carrying hopes and future generation, hopes of millions and of future generation of Africa. So during the time they were being taken down or they were being assassinated, they were not just it was not only a damage that happened or caused in their families, but it caused damage in the entire continent of Africa, because many people were believing in these people. Many people believed that these people are the only people who are going to maybe make them free from the hands of oppressors. These are the only people who are going to unite African continent and maybe make them to live the life they have been praying for each and every day. But because they did this, which was against the agreements, the will of the West, that is what cost their life. So up to this time, the families, friends, and entire continent is still suffering from that damage, is still suffering from that wound that was created by the West. But no justice has ever been given to the families of these great leaders. No justice has been even issued. No compensation that was issued to the families of these great leaders who were assassinated by the West. And now today, you have seen all that has happened. No tariffs, not assassination. If you can remember the death of Charlie Kirk just the other day, a great and vibrant African conservative of MAGA who was speaking to thousands of Americans, and they were listening to him. He he was just taken down that easily. So a lot of things has been happening, and even those incidents as they were happening, the black people were quietly watching over all that is happening. So that is the problem as to why these people has come to start to ask themselves questions. How can this be possible? Why are these people are so quiet after all that is happening to our country? Because they're the citizens too. The black community are the citizens too to these countries. But don't forget that the white system has oppressed black for a very long time, many years. They have been oppressed. They have been declined access, right, and freedom from this country. So,
white people, I'm gonna give y'all some advice since y'all gonna be crying even more now that the protest, after this protest and don't shit change and everything just continue to just, go further and further down the toilet. Something you can do that might help your situation is apologize to black people. Because if y'all apologize to black people, right, and it works, then y'all gain allies and, more importantly, actual powerful, smart, allies. Like, useful, because y'all definitely need some usefulness, over there. But yeah, wallow in your sorrow for however long after this protest stuff. Y'all just realize y'all don't wasted y'all time. And then y'all need to be getting together to have a big party to apologize to black people.
when today they sit down and relax and watch everything that's happening, it's because they have been used to this for a very long time. They have been used to this life for a very long time. So this is not their first time to see this. And everything today that is happening mostly is hitting the white people because they have not used to this. They have not used to this. Don't forget that today in African continent, Africa has been ranked as the poorest country. Africa has been ranked as the country of begging because for so long they have been depending on IMF and foreign aids. These countries has been depending in tariffs and everything from Europe and America, France, Britain. So they have been feeling like then Africa cannot be able to stand by themselves. But the problem and question is, who made these Africans to be or to live the life that they are living in today? The black people today were being silenced and maybe just watching over, not coming to speak anything. It must be a surprising incident because every time they have the one who have been coming out on the street to cry out, to fight for their rights, to reclaim the freedom and everything. And even after they come to the street, they were not only fighting for their rights, but they were fighting for the rights of the entire country. Because if the governments listen to the voice and maybe try to loosen some things, they're not the only people who are going to benefit from all the government will do, but every person in the country will benefit from everything that it will be changed. So today, because they are not coming to join the other race to fight for the problems, that's why it have brought up a spark of reactions. That's why it have brought up a different reactions from the white people. So all that is happening today, these are the things that maybe we expected that one day it will come to happen, but we never know that it will have to happen this soon. So at this time, I've gone through the internet, TikTok, and find out how the black people are responding to the questions and the accusation that are being spoken for. But all that they are saying is that at this time everyone has to carry his and her own cross because everyone has to mind his own business. They have been fighting for a very long time. They have tried so hard to make things work. They have tried so hard to fight for the freedom and right of everyone. But some people have been watching over and feel like these people are just complaining for everything. They are not ready to live in this country. Because I remember one day I came across a video where Donald Trump was saying that whoever feels uncomfortable in United States, then he can go. He can leave that country and go wherever he feels like it's okay. And if you feel to come back, it's okay. And if you feel you don't want to come back, then it's okay because you your departure from that country will not change anything. You going out of that country will not bring any effect, will not bring anything. So it's upon you to make your own decision. So up to date, for everything that's happening today, the white people, for them coming up to speak, all that they're speaking, their cries, their breakdown, their tears will not help, will not change anything, because at this time, all that they have to do is to fight against their system, and make sure that they restore and make everything to work as they want. But them coming out, instead of dealing with their problems, coming out start to blame some people, start to put accusation on some people, this will not bring out any solution, because the situation will never change because they are coming out to cry. The action will never come to change because they are coming to cry out. But everything will only happen because just if they sit down, they come and unite themselves and fight the problems where they feel or they see the problem is. That is the only way they will come out of everything that's happening today. Because as we sit down and watch over all that is happening there, then the problem is not that little, but these are bigger problem, and a lot of things happening. A lot of things is happening, and if people don't sit down carefully and maybe start to fight against the system and demand what they feel is going to help them, then in 1 or 2 years to come, America will be fully destroyed. Americans will have nothing to call for themselves. Americans will never be leading or sounding themselves as the dollar, as the people who control the currency of the world, because things are happening. And when you go deeply, you find that the world has turned against Donald Trump and his America. The world, because everyone today is fighting against Donald Trump. Everyone is fighting against America. No one, even the white nations, many countries are fighting. And when you go through deeper and find the reasons, you find that many people are seeking a revenge from all that they committed towards their life. So things are not that easy. A lot is happening. And we as Africans, we as blacks, we have nothing to do with this, because first of all, this is not our war. This is not our war, because the time the black has been suffering, the time the blacks has been humiliated, the time black has been discriminated racially, nobody came out to address these issues. No one came out to defend them, because they have no one to defend them. I remember even the time Barack Obama, the black American person who came to represent, to lead that country, the blacks felt like maybe this person is going to represent them well. He's going to fight for their rights. He promised to fight for their rights and defend them. But immediately after he ascended to that power, he did nothing. But he is the one who caused assassination of some African leaders. Because don't forget that Barack Obama is the person who assassinated, who was behind the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. So instead of some of the black people who came to represent or to lead these great countries, instead of defending and fighting for the rights of their people, they are coming to follow how the system runs. They are coming to support all the system was put there just to make sure that they discriminate and destroy the black community across the globe. So all that is happening, I personally feel like this is the time that we have to join our hands and unite. But again, we will unite, we will fight against these problems, but at the end of the problems, what will happen? The things will come where it is today. Things will come normal, and the people, or the black community in America will start to just face the same problems that they have been facing many years. So these people today, they want unity, they want a companion with the black people because they are in the problem. But immediately after this problem comes to an end, I believe that they will become the same people that we have used to see. They will start to act the same way they are acting. So this is very hard for some people to come and engage, because we know the people we are dealing with. We know the people we are dealing with. That's the problem. It has been very hard for some people to come and engage in the war that they are not concerned. So until next time we come and do the same, kindly thank you very much for your support, for your time. Let's continue supporting each other. Don't forget to subscribe and come back next time, because we do this each and every day. We have to come together and share our thoughts, share our minds, because all that is happening today is something that if you are a black person, wherever you are watching, you must have something in your heart that is making you to feel like you are now okay, and maybe your God is fighting for your battle. Your God is fighting and now protecting you from the people who have been used to oppress you, to fight you, to make you uncomfortable, the people who have caused a lot of damages, the people who have caused many lives of black people with no crime, the people who have caused the death of many African, the black people, with no reason. The innocent soul has been destroyed just because of racial discrimination and some reasons which have no any. So until next time, we can do the same. Just pick out your views and let's see what is really happening across the globe. Thank you very much, and be blessed wherever you are watching from.